Once again, we welcome you to Promise Christian Live. Today, your task may seem more than you can bear, but help is only a prayer away. Know that in your heart. Take advantage of it. Your Savior, who cares very much for you, will help. And perhaps our guest today will say something that will encourage you to hang in there too. I hope so. Mike, we can't wait. Who's visiting us today?
Well, another dear friend, Howard Payne. Hi, Brother Howard. It's so good to have you on the program again today.
I'm favored.
And this is your second time on the show.
Wow, I'm almost experienced.
You're in demand here. I know our producer enjoyed you, as I did, last time you were on and sharing some of your testimony and things you're involved in, that we wanted to have you back on the show. And so here you are again today.
Thank you.
And for those that were viewing today, could you kind of give us a little bit about your background? I know you're a minister of the gospel. Could you tell us a little bit about how the Lord called you into your ministry, and then we'll talk about what you're doing today, currently.
Well, actually, He called me into the ministry the moment I accepted the Lord.
Wonderful.
That was in May 18th, 1945, on board ship. And I concluded immediately, if this Bible is true, it is imperative that I tell everybody about Jesus Christ so that they can be saved like I was, transformed. And so from then, step by step by step, got my university degrees.
Yes. You went to Wheaton College, I understand.
I went to Wheaton and went to LA Junior College and went to Biola and went to, what else? I guess that's about it. Mm-hmm. And then I met Priscilla after I got out of the Navy. But then I started as pastor of a number of different churches. I got my degree in theology, Master of Divinity, and all that from Fuller Seminary. Pardon the expression. But the idea of being a church pastor, being a pastor of the church, occurred quite early. I was a year as youth pastor of the First Baptist Church of Van Nuys. And then we started a church in Sepulveda, and that was 7 years, and it went on for about, 30 years.
Right.
I had about 5 churches I was pastoring during that period of time, and then I was called by John Haggai to be his assistant, his citywide crusade assistant. So I was an advance man. And after 5 crusades, he wanted to go to Singapore and do a schooling there. So, but I didn't want to go to Singapore. And then I was, John introduced me to Dr., can't think of his name now.
It's okay.
At my age, I have a license to
I think
forget.
You're doing great. You're doing fantastic.
But I was hired at World Vision to be the Director of Development, where I was traveling all over the country, raising funds and selling advertising for the magazine.
Wonderful.
And one day I got the idea. They were involved in disaster relief.
Oh, yes.
A child care program.
Yes, very much so.
And I had the idea of using airplanes. Well, Ted Engstrom, who was the vice president, didn't like airplanes. I don't think he liked to ride in them. But the main thing is, it was too expensive to fly tons of stuff. So I thought, let's start an organization like that. Mm-hmm. And I told Norval Hadley, who was in charge of the program, I said, I have this idea. And he says, well, one already exists. And I thought, oh. My bubble,
you were surprised.
My bubble broke. So I'd like to meet him. So he took me out there and met Russell Quinn, who was the owner of the Flight Test Research Center in Long Beach, who was the only flight test research center civilian owned. Everything else was owned by the military.
I see.
I met him. It turns out he and I were at grammar school together.
Oh, my.
And so a friendship developed, and I helped him get some C-97s. And so the story grew, and then I thought, well, let's get Christian Pilots Association. That was a name I came up with.
I see.
And then I started publishing the posters around. We got on the, we sent about 10,000 pieces of mail, and we got...
You had like a newsletter then?
Yeah, we started a newsletter, and then within just a very short time, actually in about 1976, we started this group of pilots around the country. Then we had about 1,000 pilots.
My goodness.
Every airline, just about every airline in the country was represented by a captain. American Airlines, Pan American Airlines,
All
Western
of them,
Airlines,
yes.
United Airlines, all of these airlines then became assistants to us. Now we could get space available.
My goodness.
Well, then we started chapters all over the country. And I was flying all over the country myself in this little airplane, having fun. I got about 1,000 hours flight time. So,
Oh, wow.
and the whole program developed pretty well. And then one of our first squadrons, we call them squadrons,
Yes.
was in Hawthorne, the Hawthorne wing of Christian Pilot Association. A fellow by the name of Nick Space, who was a full bird colonel.
Oh, my.
He flew 35,000 hours in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
And when he retired, he didn't have much to do, so he heard about Christian pilots, and he grabbed on that.
Wow.
Boy, he wanted that. So he was involved in that for a couple of years, and he had a group of pilots. One of them was the second test pilot for McDonnell Douglas on the DC-10.
My goodness.
And one of his other friends there in the squadron was in charge of the simulator, the DC-10 simulator, and I was over there one day, and he wanted me to ask me if I would like to take to land the DC-10 simulator. You know?
Oh, my.
So I was sitting in his seat, and he says, "No, well, I tap you on the shoulder. You got the plane." Now I'm just sitting there. Oh, I got that plane, and I was flying that thing like a little Cessna 150.
Oh, my God. Here, this is a huge thing.
You know, I started over controlling, and I says, "I'm going to have to declare a missed approach." And he says, "No, you crashed."
Oh, my goodness. Good thing it was a simulator. But
Well, that led to a lot of opportunities around the world, but then the whole program sort of fell into not limbo, but I was getting tired, and
Yes.
about 2002, we'd already had, a great success, and Mercy there. Oh, by the way, Mercy Airlift was started out of the Hawthorne wing,
I see.
and of course, Nick Space continued with it. And shortly after that, we decided it would be better that he go more secular.
I see.
So we changed the corporation name, and then we started off two organizations, Mercy Airlift and Christian Pilot Association. They became partners together.
Excellent.
In the whole program. And the Mercy Airlift then has taken off. Now Andy took over. I asked him when he was the owner of Golden West Airlines.
I see.
And they were mainly commuter airlines going into Las Vegas and into Grand Canyon and so forth. And he was so excited with Mercy Airlift idea that he sold Golden West Airlines, and he came on board full time. Well,
Wonderful.
I don't know if it's full time because I didn't follow him full time, but he was just about full time.
Great, great.
And then we had opportunities to get tons of stuff overseas. We got involved in different operations, Guatemala earthquake, and
Yes, you were directly involved in the Guatemala, the tremendous earthquake. I remember that many years ago.
Yeah, and the
Wow.
Ethiopian famine relief,
Yes.
and the immunization of 180,000 children in Uganda against the measles, and that whole story. I got to write that up in my memoirs.
That should be a book, Howard. It could be a movie. You guys did such a great work flying all these supplies.
Well,
in there.
Andy has now kept it up with pictures and all. In fact, we have a website now. If anyone is cared to see the history, is
Sure.
in a way that I'm not telling it, but it is Mercy Airlift info at mercyairlift.com.
Okay.
Christian Pilots is info Christian Pilots at Mercy at what did I say?
Christian Pilots.
Yes, ChristianPilots.com.
.com. Yeah, they can get you there.
Information info ChristianPilots.com.
Right, got it.
And when you get on Christian Pilot Association, go to the left side, and there's a ladder there, and down about the third or fourth of the ladder is history.
Okay.
And you'll see me there.
Oh, well, good.
So I got a little credit.
Well, you got a lot of credit. The Lord really used you, Brother Howard, to have a vision to use airplanes to help to bring supplies to these places. And then Andy, your friend Andy, too, God brought him in. And I know it was all designed by the Lord. Isn't that marvelous?
Well, I haven't even brought up the fact that we're now, the reason I'm here today is that Andy and I want to talk to the folks here that are interested in the Messianic Jew program.
Marvelous.
And Andy has a capability of getting large airplanes. In fact, he was given a Boeing 127
Oh, my.
And he's got a smaller airplane now, but because his son is a Delta captain, he can fly all over the world that Delta flies.
Oh, my goodness.
And he sits in first-class seats with these big executives.
Yes.
And they give him these airplanes, little and small.
That's fantastic.
Little big.
What an opportunity.
So we're
Oh,
looking
my.
for him to come up with an airplane that can fly this food to Israel.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
But there's a lot of problems with that.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure they know what
Many
these problems.
challenges,
Yeah,
right?
many challenges. So Andy and I are working with it.
Okay.
No promises, but that's what
Yeah.
Promise Christian University.
Yeah.
No promises.
I understand. But the fact that the desire is there, the interest is there to do something for the Holy Land, the land of the Bible.
The Bible says, "Pray for Israel."
Pray for Israel.
Pray for Israel.
And do something as you're doing. I just think it's marvelous that your heart is there
Yes.
to try to do something. It's so exciting. And here you have all these years as pilots, and you have a background with airplanes and doing disaster relief. This is nothing new. Even your involvement with the Civil Air Patrol as a colonel. Howard is also a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force Auxiliary Civil Air Patrol, and he's a pilot as well as a chaplain. So you're just doing a tremendous job.
Well, I got a correction there. I now got a heart pacemaker, so I can fly a right seat, but not left seat.
Okay, yeah, you could be the observer
Yes,
now, right?
I love to fly, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether you're piloting or you're the observer. You just like to be
I
there.
love to fly.
Well, that's wonderful. I just think, so how many years now has the Christian Pilots Association been in existence?
1976 to now.
Wow. And so you served as president up to what year did you?
2006. 2002.
2002, and then Andy, your friend,
Andy took over from
is
that.
now the current president.
And he's doing even better.
Well, wonderful. What a thing that God has envisioned this to do. And I think it's marvelous that people can be so involved in these things. And are you still looking for pilots for the association?
Well, I have
today?
to let Landy tell you about that. I think we are, because
Okay.
in fact he gave me
there
a
might be some pilots watching today.
Well, if you want to become a part of it, there's room
Yeah.
for everybody, because you don't
Sure.
even have to fly, but you can go in right seat.
Yeah.
In fact, Russell Quinn developed a program by which, and he did a lot of this disaster relief operation, and he designed a paradrop program on these platforms.
Right.
And they can drop eggs, and nothing breaks.
My
It's
goodness.
a way of cushioning the landing.
They know how to do it.
It used to be they would drop these bags of flour and rice
Yeah.
in places that were really in bad shape, But when the bags hit the ground, a lot of them broke open, and the product was strewn all over the country.
Oh, I see.
But this way, all of the bags are kept intact. So that technology still exists. So I would like to see that we use that, if possible,
Yeah.
in Israel, but I'm not hoping a lot for that. But the technology exists now, thanks to the military and other
Yes.
engineering people.
Well, I think it's marvelous how God is using God's people in this end time hour to be such a blessing, whether it's in the ships going over to Israel with the supplies that Dudley is and his organization, other organizations are doing, bringing the supplies in, the food people that provide the food, gleanings for the hungry, and then, of course, and then the involvement now with the possibility of aircraft. I just think it's God bringing His people.
Exciting.
It's very exciting. I just think it's wonderful. And so, how many years were you a pilot, Howard? How many years did you?
Well, I
were you
picked it up. I
flying?
got my pilot's license. In fact, I got a small stipend for raising money for Russell Quinn to get his C-97s.
Yeah.
And when I was with World Vision, so I took that money and got my pilot's license. That was 1976.
Very good. Very good.
So then I started flying little airplanes, and then gradually increasing my time. So I got my qualifications, and then I flew all the time.
My goodness,
Yeah.
I see. So you flew for many, many years and did so many wonderful things with that ability that God gave you. And here now today, you're still very much involved. Maybe you're not actually flying the plane today, but you're very much involved with those who are.
Well, I'm consulting with Andy, so
Yeah.
I'm still on the team.
Still very active.
I write for him, and I do various things that he's asked me to do. So together I'm still a part of the program, but not officially.
I see.
I'm not on the board, but
Yeah.
From a brother standpoint, he's my brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so commendable how God is using you now in this time of your life, the golden years, Howard, and yet God's using you in a tremendous way. Your background is just outstanding. You've been a pastor and a pilot and all these kind of things.
Yeah, when they talk about my age, they say, I thought that older people are supposed to slow up. And I says, yeah, I wish that were true. I'm speeding up.
You're speeding up. You're more active now than ever.
Well, not quite, but I'm getting back to that point. I've been sick. I broke my hip, and that's why I got this cane somewhere that I got used.
Yes, I remember last year
Yeah,
you had a fall, but you're okay now. The Lord's
I'm
healing
doing fine. God's been good.
Yeah. I just think that's just so wonderful. What
I'm alive and kicking.
You're alive. And what would you say to some of our older Christian people that still would like to be active in programs? Do you think they should still be active?
Use your mind. God gave you a mind that is incredible, more capacity than any computer.
Right.
And there's no moving parts, and there's nothing to wear out.
That's right.
So you still have a mind, even though your body may be gone.
Yeah.
But you can still think.
That's right, and things can still be accomplished.
Use that mind. I have a pill now that helps me to remember. Mm-hmm. At my age, you tend to you lose your memory. But sometimes in my sleep, I come up with ideas.
Right.
Right now, I'm working on an idea. I'm working on a book. I'm trying to write a book right now.
I think you should, Howard.
I'm almost finished with it. I'm almost ready to publish it. But it came through an idea.
Sure.
And I spent a lot of time on the computer trying to
put
it all together.
About your adventures, with the Lord.
But my memoirs still have to be done all together. But I'm having so much fun with the book now. So.
I know. Well, may I ask how old you are now, Howard?
Let's see. I'm going on 100.
Oh, no.
I'm 83.
You're 83. Well, you're just a young man.
Just a young chicken.
Imagine, and then I believe it was on Tokyo Bay on that ship that you gave your heart to the Lord.
No, it's in Okinawa.
It was in Okinawa.
Fighting the Japanese.
Fighting the Japanese.
Kamikazes.
Well, I'm glad you made it through,
Well, we had one coming in with his white light on his tail.
Yes.
And he circled around. We had boats all over the harbor waiting to go in.
Right.
And he's picked out our ship.
Of all ships.
But they didn't want to shoot at him because the bullets would hit the other ships.
Right.
So we shot a bomber down.
My goodness.
But then it went around our ship here.
Wow.
And when he came around about that point, I was at the fantail where my gun station was.
Yeah.
And I saw him going around my ship. He was so close I could see his goggles.
My gosh, that's how intense it was.
He missed us.
Oh. That was the Lord, wasn't it?
It really was.
He spared you.
Yeah.
And he spared you for what you did throughout your lifetime, marrying, of course, Priscilla, the lovely Priscilla, and then going into ministry together as a team. And you guys pioneered many churches, didn't you, for your denomination?
Well, actually, the Lord gave me the desire to help churches that couldn't quite make it. So I was a church paramedic.
Okay. All right.
They couldn't pay a salary, so I worked part-time. Mm-hmm. And kept that up.
And you were very successful in that.
Well, successful in the sense that churches were able to grow and move to the point where they could hire a pastor full-time.
And then, of course, after that, the Pilots Association, your flying days. And how did you become part of the Civil Air Patrol? How did that happen?
Well, let's see. It was about 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was a member of the church at Church the Open Door.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we had a falling out, the church members and the deacons and elders and all those. And so we finally decided we would start a church.
Okay.
So a new church was started, Christ Community Church. And I was trying to get across to a restaurant one day, and this guy was in there, and I knew him. So we sat down and had coffee, and he says, Howard, I think you'd like something. He told me about Civil Air Patrol.
Yes.
That was 16 years ago.
My goodness.
So,
and you were my mentor when I became a chaplain with Civil Air Patrol.
So to speak.
Yeah, you were a great help to me. I've been now 11 years serving.
That's right.
And Adele's in it too. She's a public affairs officer.
Yes.
We both serve in the same squadron, Howard and I. He's still my senior, my boss. I still consider him that, But I just think it's wonderful that you have a heart, Howard, for the ministry, for the work of God in the end time hour, for Israel, and still involved in airplanes, in aviation. I just think this is wonderful. God's put you right there, hasn't
God's
he?
not through with me yet.
No, he's not done yet. You know, and I encourage you to write your book. I think your memoirs would be very interesting. Your life, just all the things that have been accomplished, and the great people that you've known. You went to school with Leighton Ford, the famous preacher.
Actually, he was in the same apartment where Priscilla and I was. We were married when we went to Wheaton.
Yes.
And Leighton Ford was in the other apartment.
One of the leading preachers.
My one claim to fame.
My goodness. Well, you didn't do so bad yourself. You know.
Praise the Lord.
So, what would you say to what do you feel in this hour that we're living? How, as a pastor, we as God's people, what should we be doing in these end time hours? That we see things happening all over the world, and what do you think we should be doing?
I'm glad you asked. Going into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. He said, he didn't say go into all the world and feed the people.
Yeah.
But feeding the people is the avenue by which we preach the gospel. So if we're just feeding the people, we're not doing anything, really. So saving the body is not saving the soul. So once the door is open and people see us as our love is spread throughout the world, then they realize that something's different about you. Peter says, be ready always to give an answer to every man who asks a reason for the hope that's within you with meekness and fear.
That's right.
Well, do that every moment. When you go to the grocery store and as you're going out the store, the girl will say, have a good day. And you turn to her and you say, what is a good day?
Right.
She turned to me and she said, and I says, well, if you died and went to heaven, it'd be a good day.
Yes, that's
now, that's
true.
an opportunity. Take
Yes,
every opportunity to build the moment, because they don't happen automatically. You've got to make them happy.
That's right.
Every person you talk to.
Take
and
advantage of that moment.
Like the person on the telephone.
Yeah.
Girl called me yesterday. She was representing a construction company, and she wanted to give us a free estimate.
Wow.
I talked to her for about 15 minutes about the Lord.
My goodness.
And she let me.
I was going to ask, how was the response?
I just happened to tell her, you wouldn't want me as your customer because I'm 83 and I don't have much income, so we wouldn't be able to pay for anything. And she says, well, there's credit. Where do you get the money to pay for the credit? So anyway, she understood it.
That's funny, when you said that,
So you have to build on every opportunity. My wife is now going to the nursing home for my sister-in-law every night. And so I sit there on the couch and study the Word of God every night for an hour. And we have all these people, the Latinos, a lot of the Latinos are there, and so they'll get together in groups and start blabbering away, and I don't know how Spanish is. So I decided the Spanish New Testament. I can read the letters and the words, but I don't notice what they say. So I'm reading the gospel there, hoping that the gospel message would seep into their conversation.
Sure, and I'm sure it will.
That's mean, isn't it?
No, that's all right. I think, and Priscilla's still very active. You're both very active in your church.
Well, we're not as active. I was, of course, you mentioned teaching Greek, and I'm trying to get back into that again.
I would just like to say that Howard is our professor of Greek at Promise Christian University, and he does a fantastic job. And, of course, I know that he makes the students learn the alphabet. I know that's very important.
That's my hobby.
Yeah, right.
I love Greek New Testament.
Yes, that's right.
Because you're getting right down where the horse's mouth is.
That's true.
That's terrible to say.
Well, but I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. And so you and Priscilla, you're still active in your ministry to some degree, and she teaches music, isn't that?
Well, she did for 40 years.
40 years.
Yes, but she, I think it was about last year, she decided she was getting too old. These kids were driving her wild, with their energy and all.
Time for a break, right?
But she's teaching our 6 grandkids now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, she's a wonderful person, and she taught music for 40 years. That's a long time,
Well, I'm sort of embarrassed because she's got a brain you wouldn't believe. She graduated from 3 universities, got 3 degrees, magna cum laude in every one of them.
In every school.
I graduated from 3 universities and graduated magna cum laude.
But Howard, you made it.
I made it. Yay, praise
you
God.
Made it. You know, we want to thank you today for being on the show.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mike.
that. And I think you've encouraged a lot of our senior viewers who are
I hope so.
love the Lord as you
Yeah.
do to continue to be involved as much as possible.
Be active.
Be
Even if you have to
active.
use a crutch, be active.
Be active. That's right. And you're still willing to, although you can't fly the plane, but you're still willing to go. You're still willing,
I'm willing to
you're
fly,
willing to
and
do
of course
it.
I'm qualified as an
Right,
scanner, as
right.
observer. Well, not exactly, because I lost it in January, but I can.
You can renew
I can
it.
take the course
you
again
can take
and
the
renew
course
it.
again.
Yeah.
You know, it's just wonderful. I'm sure we've enjoyed Brother Howard again today on the program, and again, we're so glad if you need a good college or university, try Promise Christian University. We have wonderful professors like Brother Howard to teach Greek and many other subjects. So look us up on the web page. And Dudley, again, it's just been wonderful today. I've really enjoyed these programs.
Well, Mike, thanks very much for being our host on Promise Christian Live. You are tremendous. I'm sure everyone witnesses that. And thank you very much for having the guest you had with us today. It made my day for sure. And that goes for you too. Did it make your day? Promise Christian Live is a weekly broadcast designed to be a blessing to you. And if you'd like to contact us by phone, the number is 1-888-723-6233. Or you can send us an email. Our email address is mypcu@aol.com. So tune in next week if you can. And in the meantime, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace. Shalom.